They fly now? They fly now!
What's up, y'all? I'm Saintmillion, and today we are reviewing Star Wars Outlaws, the new action-adventure game from Ubisoft Massive. It's the first open-world Star Wars game, featuring Kay Vess, the newest criminal in the underworld.
Challenge is my middle name.
Play as the smuggler archetype, who leaps her way through old ruins to find treasures, pull off an impossible heist to clear a death mark, and be shocked when bad people do bad things. Actual smuggling is a side hustle and can be mostly avoided. Yeah, so I didn't know if I was actually going to play this, but I asked Ubisoft for a key and they gave me one. Me, of all people. I played it, I beat it, and here's what I have to say about it.
Ready to go?
Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the game, the gameplay, the story, let's talk about the tone. Because if you're expecting a GTA-style game or Red Dead Redemption, you should probably curb your expectations. Although it seems like you'd have the open-world freedom to do anything you'd want as a smuggler, this game is not mature enough for that.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
This game is made for kids who want to go to Disney World.
Come on, Nix. Maybe they got some good snacks here.
It's smuggling for the whole family to enjoy, which is totally fine, but that doesn't mean the game doesn't have some tonal problems that should be addressed. After all, the game's backdrop is about criminal syndicates, cartels, drugs, slavery, and murder, and the family-friendly tone sort of clashes with that stuff.
This is Governor Thornton's city, not yours.
Drag him out. And tell the governor the payments will not increase.
They want to have spice in the game, but they don't actually show anyone doing spice.
They were hauling Sansana.
Sansana, like spice.
Not until it's processed.
Of precious minerals. Precious, very legal minerals. Okay, boxes of Sansana. We've got boxes of Sansana on an imp space station. Great.
Spice is a highly restricted contraband item that will only attract further unwanted attention from authorities and—
No, not spice. Ice. ICE. Frozen water.
This part of the job, so...
I will ready the cargo hold.
Hey, could I get some extra spice? That's good stuff.
They want to have people going to the bar for the good stuff, but they don't want anyone being drunk. And there's really no love, romance, or people acting attracted to anybody. Like in a crime underbelly of the galaxy where there's millions of credits being passed around with these cartels and corrupt Imperials, you'd probably attract some, you know, some people trying to make some credits out of you. It's all a bit sterile and fake feeling, like a theme park. There's not even any dancers in Jabba's palace. Like, what's going on here? But no, everyone's just a dirty human or an alien. Or a stormtrooper.
My unit was ordered to this village. They didn't want to pay taxes, so we burned their buildings to the ground.
It's not even that I want the most darkest, grittiest version of Star Wars possible, but in a game that champions immersion in all the advertising material, you'd think you want a little bit of grit. It would have made it more realistic, immersive, and even up the stakes. But Outlaws is as gritty as a balloon.
You deserve that, right?
Let's talk about the gameplay. A big part of the gameplay with Kay Vess is Nix, her little companion. He's a meerkat? He's a new species. Nix is basically a ranged mechanic that can interact with most parts of the entire game. Nix can steal things, open doors, bring Kay blasters, cause distractions, attack people, and even detonate smoke bombs. Where a Jedi has force powers, Kay has Nix. It's kind of like 47's gold coin, where you distract people, if the gold coin was like a squirrel that could steal things and cause explosions. You can also use Nix to ping nearby objects with the Force, I guess. Which is useful, because a lot of important things to find in the world are kind of hard to see.
Someone nearby?
No one dares mess with us.
What the crap?
For the stealth mechanics, they are pretty standard for a stealth system, I'd say. You sneak around and you knock people out one by one until you clear out most of the room. Kay can pretty much just bonk a stormtrooper with her fist on top of their head and they go down. It's a painfully slow process and the AI is pretty dumb. You can shoot somebody with your blaster and somebody 2 meters away won't hear a thing.
My guess? We're after intelligence.
You also need to stop people from triggering alarms, which is pretty much an immediate game over in a lot of situations. They give you electro binoculars for marking your targets, and that seems like an important mechanic, but at the end of the day, you really don't take the time to do that. It's faster to just move on and stealth through a segment, and it's even faster to just pull out your blaster and kill everyone, which makes the forced stealth parts even more painfully slow. So stealth, okay, and gets a bit repetitive. Now when you're in a fully fledged combat situation, you have one blaster pistol and some grenades. Those good old F-class thermal detonators. The third-person shooting's pretty good, actually. There's not a lot of complaints I had with it, other than when you pick up blasters from enemies, they're actually finite in ammo, unlike your main blaster, which is a bit weird because every blaster has infinite ammo in the game until you pick up another enemy's blaster. Suddenly it has limited ammo. What's up with that? And you can't take them anywhere. The game's designed is laid out in a way where after a combat section, you're almost always going into a hidden load screen. This could be a ventilation shaft, the dreaded cracks from Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, or just climbing, anything. Kay will just drop her blaster, which is a bit silly because you'd think that you could stow away like a blaster or two. If I find a DLT-20A, I want to keep it for a little while, you know? But no, she just drops it, like she can't carry it. Meanwhile, she's carrying literal tons of crafting materials, upgrade parts, ship parts, speeder parts, all in her cargo pants. So I don't see why she can't just carry a couple of blasters, but they have this one blaster system with a pistol. It has the normal blaster mode, the ion mode, which is for like droids and taking out shields, power mode, which is kind of like an explosive bolt, and stun mode. So overall, the blaster combat is pretty fun. Yeah, I just would have really liked to use those blasters. Hey, if you like blasters, check out the Counter-Strike video we made. I talk all about blasters in that video, and some of them are in this game. It's a shame you can't keep them.
Come on.
And a quick note on friendly AI. They often get confused, are useless, and do little to no damage.
Did you need something? An outsider's opinion.
So let's talk about that open world. There's actually a lack of freedom in this game.
Rob his fortune, buy your freedom.
And you'll finally see what real freedom feels like.
And this is your one shot at freedom.
You can't jack people's speeders, you can't kill anybody you want, you can't drive your speeder into towns and cause general mayhem. You can't even sprint or jump in a lot of places in towns. And if you jump on a stormtrooper too many times, they'll immediately arrest you. It's just like Disney World, actually. So despite having beautiful, sprawling landscapes on 4 different planets, this is not the open world sandbox game you might expect. It's more of a semi-linear action-adventure with open world elements. There are 4 planets in total, and there's actually a 5th planet, but that's more of a main storyline planet. Other planets you can go to are Akiva, which is a lush jungle and a brand new planet for this game. Tatooine. It's Tatooine. Kajimi, which is the snow planet. And Toshara. It's kind of a savanna plains planet with a bunch of canyons. The 4 planets have a pretty sizable space to drive around in. Unfortunately, it feels like it's not filled with very much. The developers tell you should try to go off the beaten path and see what you find. But when I did that, I ran into a lot of weird non-things. I would find a settlement of people that just live in the wilderness or whatever, but no one talks to you, and it was because I had not progressed the main story to the point where anything would be happening there. So it was just a bunch of NPCs standing around, not acknowledging me at all. I also came across 2 groups of people just shooting at each other, and I had no idea what was going on. And I helped one side win, just a side who seemed like they were maybe civilians, and they just started shooting me too. And there was no explanation. I just came across a battle and I killed them all. It's because these locations are only designed to be relevant when you're on a specific mission. So these stages placed around the overworld remain empty until you have the quest that matters. It's places like this house that completely wasted my time because it told me there was treasure to be found, only for me to look it up and realize that a certain quest had to be completed before you could do anything here. This design concept is taken to very silly levels on the Sarlacc quest. When you get to Tatooine, of course you might drive out and try to find the Great Pit of Carkoon or just a Sarlacc. But there is no Sarlacc to be found. And that's because you didn't do the quest to make it spawn. Then when you go back, there is a Sarlacc pit and a rock formation. They just magically appear.
Whoa, that thing is huge. Where's the second mouth?
Probably inside the first mouth.
Funny, droid. So funny. We're going in next. Okay, that's 1 mouth down.
Unfortunately, when you get there, you're met with a load crack, which leads to a traversal puzzle. And I can't use enough quotation marks for puzzle. And then the quest ends with an epic escape from the already dead Sarlacc by way of another load crack. This is a great example of most side quests in this game. Then, of course, you finish the quest and the Sarlacc and rock formation disappear again. This is an open world game where you can't drive land speeders and go to the Great Pit of Carkoon and throw people in. What the hell? Nearly every side quest goes like this. Fast travel to planet, travel by speeder to the place, find the beginning of the traversal puzzle, accidentally exit the area because there are multiple entrances to said side quest, get lost looking for a hidden object or thing, eventually find whichever treasure, and then fast travel out. Quest rewards could be anything from cosmetic upgrades to skill upgrades, or just crafting materials or getting reputation with a syndicate, but ultimately, the game's difficulty is undertuned. It's a bit too easy. So none of these upgrades really feel necessary or rewarding in that sense, and you also don't ever feel a power spike from getting certain upgrades. So yeah, most side quests without some interesting story just feel like busy work or padded game time. No open world game is complete without mini games. Yay! The lockpicking. It's called Data Spikes in this Star Wars game. It's like a memory rhythm game that's actually kind of fun to do. I actually think they could have gone even further with this because it's easy the whole game. I think if they had really complicated locks, that would have been kind of entertaining. And there's also slicing into computer terminals, which is Wordle, but with symbols. It got a little old at some point, playing the same minigame over and over, because it happens a lot. At some point, you have to ask yourself, okay, do I want to stop and do this minigame again for like 200 credits? Not really. Then there are some arcade games. There are little arcade games. They're pretty fun to kill time, except the one that just didn't work for me. I don't know if that happened to other people.
Just gonna play a quick game. Let's go again.
Don't know. Game's not done. Saach. Then there's Saach.
Come on, I'm pretty good at Saach. I can run with the high rollers.
You don't get it. The players in that basement club are legends. Best in the galaxy. Trust me, you're better off betting on chance cubes.
You never support me. You know that?
You know, I never actually knew how Disney Saach worked. I know it's in Disney World somewhere. Never really knew how it played, never paid attention. We did make a whole video about Legends Saach on this channel. You should go check it out. It was basically a mix of poker and blackjack with special face cards, with as many cards as a tarot deck, which I'm sure Disney hated. It's witchcraft. But as it turns out, Saach is like poker, but the only hand you can get is one pair. You sit at a table with 3 people and draw cards to see who gets the best one pair. I mean, it's barely more complex than that, but it really is just who has the best one pair. You can use Nix to go cheat and look at the hands of other people, which is a quick time event. There are also power cards that make people put in more chips. But yeah, it's really boring, which is so sad. This game could have had a great Saach game that you would want to go and play just for fun or for the rewards. But I would rather play Saach, you know? It was such a shame, because clearly a lot of effort went into the animations and this whole setup, and it's a big part of the game. There's Saach parlors on every planet. There's high roller tables to find. But I didn't want to do them. But then he did do them. It doesn't help that when you lose a game, you're forced to sit through an 18-second cutscene with no option to immediately rematch before you sit back down. Here, I'm gonna make y'all sit through it.
All right, you win. Pass.
I'm only making a big stink out of it because these games do take a long time, and they're a big piece of side content. Wham!
Who's a loser now?
Hey, even the cinematic director thought it was poker. Ah, but it's Kessel Saach. This is different. Let's talk about checkpoints right here. They're horrible.
Love to see you try and get past the checkpoints.
One small slip up, and you go back. There was one particular segment. Well, there was a few where this happened, but one was the worst. It was on Tatooine at Jabba's palace, where you would either stealth through to Jabba's palace or fight your way through along a canyon to get in. And right at the very end, there's a bit of a janky jump to get on a wall where I kind of glitched out a couple times. But if you fall to your death, you have to redo the whole stealth segment or blaster segment, however you approach it. You have to do it all again. And this happens in multiple parts of the game where there's just a really inconvenient checkpoint too far back. And this does happen a few times in the traversal segments that are like Jedi Survivor, but I find it strange that in the Jedi games, when you fall, you automatically respawn on the ground, and you can retry, you just have less health. I think they could have used that mechanic in this game. In fact, I think it would make more sense to do that in Outlaws because it's like smuggler's luck or something, but bad checkpoints are bad. Not all skills and experts are required in the game. They're actually very optional. The abilities are unlocked by doing kind of a checklist of tasks, and also sometimes finding a specific part in a specific camp on a planet, a side quest. But sometimes it was a bit annoying, like the jump on the speeder bike ability, for example. You had to do a big jump a certain distance, and it would unlock the ability for you. But every time you would get airtime, the little notification would pop up saying, well, you got a 20-foot jump, and that would happen constantly until you finally unlocked it. Which is a bit weird that those pop-ups would constantly happen. But this is a bit of a theme in the design of Outlaws, bombarding you with notifications for very minor things, one after another, giving you the illusion that you're really accomplishing a lot all the time, when you're really not. But I will take you on an example of when I unlocked the stun baton. This required going to an Imperial camp that was on a lake island. I needed to procure a specific part from this camp, so I killed everyone, looted nearly every chest, found some other treasure, and even maxed my wanted level with the Empire, so they eventually sent Death troopers after me, which is, by the way, the most dangerous troopers they will send after you when you max your wanted level. killed them, I still didn't have the part I needed. It turns out I just missed the chest. It's like, you really gotta search everywhere for this stuff. So that was a bit annoying. I cleared this entire camp like 3 times because I would die in some random way before I found it. And that's when I realized that when you max your wanted level, a Death Trooper ISB bunker spawns about a mile away, and this sort of presents an optional challenge for you. And that's to go to the Death Trooper's bunker, kill them, and get a special trophy. So this started my 40-minute personal side quest to go and do that, which was actually really tough because you have to make your way a quarter way across the planet on the wonky controlling speeder bike, trying to avoid a bunch of Imperials shooting at you and potentially other syndicates who don't like you also shooting at you, trying to save as many healing items as you can. I could only have 2 at the time, and then not dying to some BS at the bunker, like trying to cover fire and your fire just hits the cover because the game is a bit janky. Or the game shows you a grenade arc that you can throw, you throw it, and then it bounces right back into you and you die. And when you die during this kind of side quest with the Imperial Death Bunker, it removes your wanted level, the bunker goes away, and it's actually a lot of work to get that wanted level back. And your reward is some credits and a Death Trooper trophy to put on your speeder. Worth? The Loadout. You can get gear sets from syndicates by maxing rep. You can also get it from trading with merchants. You'll also get a gear set just from doing the main storyline, which is the Outlaw set. You can also have charms, which are little equipable trinkets by Kay. And there are the most adorable QuickTime events with Nyx eating food at food carts. When you complete these food QuickTime events, you unlock basically gear for Nyx, which is a plate of food that does something special, like kicking grenades away from Kay or something like that.
You like the Kurado or the Kapupi flies more?
So when it comes to your loadout, gear bonuses, skills unlocked, you've maxed all your health upgrades and blaster upgrades, speeder upgrades, ship upgrades, it's all for kind of nothing. Again, I'll reiterate, the game is a bit undertuned, so none of this really feels necessary, and no specific upgrade feels like a power spike. Let's talk about vehicles. You got the speeder, and you got the trailblazer. Now the speeder bike is incredibly hard to control off the bat, and by the end of the game you will have kind of good control of it probably. I played on PC, so maybe it's a bit easier on console, but on planets with dense forests like Akiva, you're gonna hit a lot of trees and rocks.
Made it.
I appreciate that you can go flying off your speeder in that way. It has some comedic value to it, but it makes it more frustrating sometimes. And the Trailblazer is how you explore the planetary instances above planets, which are kind of the same as the open worlds on the ground. The space combat is pretty simple, and most places you explore will just be collecting boxes of crafting materials and fighting pirates. Though there are some interesting places to visit. I'd say most places in space are a bit boring, but some are pretty cool looking. There's a lack of really meaty content up there though, so you probably won't spend a lot of time in space. And I'm really bummed you can't drive other vehicles. You see so many driving around, I feel like it's a really huge missed opportunity. Outlaws is one of the most gorgeous depictions of Star Wars I have ever seen in a game. It definitely draws you in with all the high detail items and environments and music, which makes all the other stuff that's bad a little bit more sad because it looks really nice and you really don't want to dog on it. It's a lot of the other gameplay where it really lacks. Moving on to the story. The storyline's actually the best part of the game, next to the visuals. Kay has a whole plot line going on with the criminal underworld, but also with her mother, which you get some flashbacks for context as you play. But yeah, the story's good. It's a heist movie. It's like Ocean's 11. Kay gets a big death mark put on her early in the game because she was framed, and she's just constantly dealing with that. The ending of the game is a bit mid, and the final boss is not good. Like, I don't know who designed that, I'm sorry. I'll just say the lock-picking part and the stealth part of the whole final encounter, it's not it. Another big part of the story are the 4 syndicates you can align with, and the mysterious new group, Zarek Besh. The reputation system doesn't really affect the story that much though. They're mostly for gameplay rewards and fast travel points, or getting chased by a syndicate that hates you. There's one moment near the end, I'm not going to spoil, but it's where your highest rep syndicate does something, but that's it, and it feels like any of the syndicates could do what they did. So yeah, if you play it for anything, the story is a fun watch. We're getting towards the end of the review here, and I just want to touch on the lack of polish at release.
Recommend you fall back. It's not worth the risk.
After all that, no way. I think we're good. Checking the weapons.
And obviously this will change over time, it always does, or sometimes it doesn't. But there are just a myriad of little quirks here and there that can take you out of the experience. I'm not going to try to nitpick or anything, I'm just going to name like a couple dozen problems I had. Here the Nyx system broke and didn't work until rebooting the game. This plot critical elevator broke and didn't work until I rebooted the game. Funny stormtrooper. Voice lines will play at the wrong time, like Kay on Akiva talking about how it's raining when it's not actually raining yet.
Kay, is the climate affecting your speeder?
Seems good. I kind of like a little rain.
Could open that vent at the terminal.
Repeated voice cues.
Whoa. Whoa. Ooh, I've been wanting one of these.
Really, Kay? You've been wanting a small old carving made from driftwood depicting a great hunt and representing the thrill it brings? You know, it does sound pretty sick.
Are you?
Next gen water effects. Funny stormtrooper. Funny stormtrooper. Funny stormtrooper. Why come this boulder doesn't explode with the grenade launcher? You gotta use the dev intended power shot of your blaster. Anything else is just too weak.
Look at that.
Using Kay's death mark doesn't put you back behind cover. I don't know if that's intended, but it feels wrong.
Hope you got better luck than him. We got a lot of mercenaries, kid.
Next gen water effects.
Here.
Sorry, what was that?
And other little immersion breaking things like Kay blabbing on her comm link when she's literally right behind an enemy stealthing.
Aren't gonna go sideways.
Forgive me for not trusting you at all.
All right, uploading now. Who should we pin this on?
Rebels. They already hate him, right?
Yeah, they always want to take credit for everything.
This whole sequence has it all. First I get to this quest, which I would later realize is broken until I rebooted my game, and while I was trying to find the entrance, confused, I reached an out-of-bounds area for the quest in this open-world game, in which the Crate Dragon reveal was right there, and I wanted to stick around to watch it, but no, you game over. And because the checkpoints are so bad, I have to drive all the way back to where I was. Excuse my language, but dank Varric. I did eventually find that Crate Dragon, though. Outlaws has its moments in its combat and cinematic story.
Who's Erda?
Erdatar.
But is hindered by repetitive stealth mechanics and regurgitated traversal mechanics from the Jedi games. It does have plenty of side content if you want to do that, but the lack of freedom you'd want in an open world game, combined with the tone, really holds it back from becoming something better.
The galaxy isn't a playground, Kay. It's a prison.
This game is horrified to take risks, and it shows. It's nice to have a new female protagonist, especially with a decent story behind it. It's just such a shame that this game feels like it was held back by the red tape of Disney. And that's why I'm giving the game a 6. But because they gave me a key, it's a 6.5. Yeah, that's how that works. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you got some information out of this review, and if you like the video, subscribe and share it with a friend. I'd like to thank the patrons for supporting this video's creation, making it more possible than ever before. Special shoutouts to the Master Tier patrons, Aquarial, Heliomorpha, Jordan Rowe, the Avion 12, and Uninvited Haggis. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.